Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's joining. Also, everybody who's going to be watching this recorded version of the talk. So I wanted to talk today about how to build a Ukrainian Harvard. And the way that I build my presentation is sort of in the 5 parts. First of all, I want to talk about my story, who I am, where I came from, and how I got into the education system. Second, I want to talk about the universities, just in general. What is the purpose of any university? What are the main principles on which the university should be built? And then how to build a Ukrainian Harvard. And of course, I'm not going to be able to finish this without highlighting the fact that we have opened American University Kyiv, trying to build this education system in Ukraine. And it happened to have happened right during the time of war. So we'll talk about all of these things one by one. First of all, my story. So I was born in Ivano-Frankivsk, as Volodymyr as well, and so we are both from Ivano-Frankivsk, and it's a Western Ukraine. Went to get my bachelor's there. I got actually 2 degrees. One from Oil and Gas University, Technical University. It was in economics, and one from Prokopiev Stefanik University, which was in law. And so I got these 2 degrees. And then in 2003, I moved to Kyiv to get my master's degree in Kyiv Academy. Then after, in 2004, I transferred and moved from Kyiv to Ukrainian School of Management, Purdue University, to get I started to work on my doctorate degree. So I worked on my doctorate degree for about 5 years. And so at the age of, I was, it was 2009, around that time that I was 27, 26, turning 27. I defended my dissertation, and I became an economist. I became a doctor of economics, got my Ph.D. in economics, and then I moved to work in California. And in California, I worked at Economic Science Institute, Chapman University, which was a place that hosted the Nobel laureate Vernon Smith, who just happened to be the founder of experimental economics and big influence on behavioral economics. And that's exactly what was my field. And so when I got an offer to work as a professor and a researcher with them, obviously I couldn't turn down that opportunity. And so I moved to California. So in 2009, I worked in California at the Economic Science Institute in Orange County, one of the most beautiful places that I've ever lived and got to experience. But somewhere in the middle, I got married. My wife, she is a Ukrainian, but who lives in the US, and all of her family is in Cleveland, and I'm talking about large family. And so because of that, we were really wanted to find something close to Cleveland. And the best university that is in Ohio, in Cleveland, is actually Case Western University. It's one of the top universities in the US, and they had an opening. And so when that opening was posted, and I saw the opportunity for me to move to Cleveland, so I moved in 2013. I left Economic Science Institute, which was very difficult to leave. Obviously, I loved the place. It was probably the perfect place for me to work, but you have to have a balance in life, both academic, career-wise, and family. And so this was a perfect place for me. And this is most likely the place where I'll retire. This crazy building is actually where my office is. It's going to be on this side right here, where you see the dot, in one of these, squiggly rooms. It's actually a cool building. It doesn't have any single straight wall. All of these walls are kind of tilted, and it's one of the few buildings in the world of this kind. It was basically Frank Gehry building. It's one of the incredible buildings. But as you guys might know, or at least some of you might know, in 2021, I actually moved to Ukraine. It was the end of 2021. And then the beginning of 2022. And I moved to Ukraine to open American University Kyiv. as a founding rector. And on the February 6th, I believe, we were standing on a stage with Vitaly Klitschko, with all of the representatives from Ukrainian government, all the stakeholders, our investors, and everybody was there in Parkovy. We had this big presentation, a kickoff for the university, and then 2 weeks later, Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv, is actually already training to defend his city because his city is being attacked, surrounded by Russians. And so basically, that's where, 2 difficult years have begun. So this was a very unique time for me of, these past 2 years where I felt an incredible need and urge to be both, helping to open up a university in Ukraine, and also wanted to make sure that I will be able to continue supporting Ukraine in terms of my contribution in terms of humanitarian aid, and most importantly, in terms of building human capital. So that being said, I want to now talk a little bit about, so what is the purpose of university? Why, even have a university, and what does the university do? So first of all, there's many theories and ideas of what university could be all about. But here's, one option. Let's call it, skills. So students gain knowledge and skills that will be useful for their careers. And that's the idea that, when you go to the university, you will get specific skills. But unfortunately, most teachers will basically help us in some way. But most of the time, those teachers are not professionals. They're not going to be able to train you how to basically teach, how to provide the kind of training that you would need for the workplace, because they're not from the workplace themselves. Only the person who is right there will be able to do that. Another reason why the university is needed there is connections. The university creates an opportunity to meet new people. If you want to study at Harvard, you would meet students who would end up changing the world. And so obviously, these connections are going to be extremely important for your life. And so we want to make sure that we will have these connections, because these connections will help us to build up our careers in the future. Now, also, there is things like, signaling. So when you go to the university, you are selected based on how smart you are. And so obviously, the smartest people will get into Harvard, for example, and that will be a very good indication of your quality, of how good of a student you are, how good of a human being you are overall. So it's a signaling theory. And of course, the university teaches you values and helps students to develop to develop as individuals. So basically, as a human being, you want to develop some ethical norms, you want to develop a way of engaging with society. And so that's why university can be extremely helpful in terms of building those values. So again, there's not a single answer what the university is all about. There are different ways the university is important for us. And so these are just the 4 ways how university impacts our lives. Now, the next question is, well, how do we build university on the correct principles, right? So what is the good educational system that would be built on the principles that have ethical underpinning, that have a good competitive advantage? The universities are well built. So I'm going to highlight here 5 kind of essential principles of the university system. And after that, I'll talk a little bit about how we try to implement that at the American University Kyiv. So first of all, let's call it independence. So basically, we want to create a university that is independent, where different parts of university are independent. So for example, departments, they decide how to design their own curriculum, which classes to teach, so on and so forth. Faculty, they will have full control of the class syllabus. There is no sort of recommendational specific recommendations, so like called metodichki in Ukrainian. Basically, if I teach game theory, I probably know how to teach game theory. I don't need the Ministry of Education to tell me how should I teach game theory. So I have complete control over my courses that I teach. And as far as the students, obviously they have also their independence and freedom to decide which electives they should take. So basically, these are all the things that create an independent university, independent thinkers. Now, this is just a good illustration of one scientist who is sitting here and he says, or is, let's call it a professor. He says, "Hey, for everybody to have." To be objective. I want to be objective, and so therefore I'm going to give everybody the same task. I want everybody to climb this tree. And so you have a dog, you have a monkey, you have an elephant, and a fish, and so they all have to climb the tree because that's the right thing to do. Everybody should do the same thing. And this is actually a fairly standard approach for Soviet Union and for all post-Soviet Union countries, where they try to create a copycat cat of individuals, or copy paste kind of, you just stamp the same individuals. Everybody should be the same. And obviously, university also has to be built on the flexible principles and flexibility. So, for example, we try to give our faculty the opportunity to teach when they want to teach. Also, we want to give students an opportunity to take the classes that they want to take and the professors that they want to take. So this flexibility has to be another principle on which universities are built. And again, it differs drastically from the style of education that was there during the Soviet Union times and the way that it's being taught in America. So like Harvard University, Case Western, and other universities alike. Competition, yes, yet another principle that is extremely important in order to build basically to build your profile, and so to build a competitive education, you need to create incentives that are based on or let's say market based. So things like retention, promotion, salary, all of these things that as a faculty you would get, it should depend on quality, on research and publication in top journals, citations, so on and so forth. Besides, the same stimulus or the same competition should be introduced among the students. So the students should be evaluated based on objective factors such as student quality, GPA. Also, we need to take care of the students that have needs. So basically, provide them need-based scholarships, so on and so forth. So if you actually look at the really interesting observation, you find that universities in the United States are actually some of the best universities in the world. So for example, if you take QS rating, that more than 60% of the universities of the top 100 universities of the world are actually going to be from the US. And it is not surprising that US is extremely well positioned in terms of high quality universities to be in at the top of this ranking. It's interesting that the public schools in the U.S. are actually, the schools overall school system, intermediate school system in the U.S. is rated very low. Low relatively to the amount of investment that is put into education system. So, in particular, U.S. Middle education, primary education, school education is ranked about 14th in the world, despite the fact that U.S. spends the most money on individual students. So why is it the case that while the schools are so bad, relatively bad in the U.S., while the universities are really killing it and being at the top of the pack. And the answer, most likely explanation, is actually most of the schools in the U.S. are run publicly. So they're publicly run. There's not much competition among these schools. While when you look at the universities, there's a huge competition among the universities because those are private universities. Besides this, we talk about evaluation. So faculty personally decide how to objectively evaluate students based on exam, quizzes, homeworks. Faculty are easily available to the students, that you need to have this open door policy. And also students are anonymously evaluating faculty. So there is this a feedback loop where students and the faculty are constantly being evaluated for their performance. And so, for example, if you look at at Case Western, we have a very open position where you can literally look at all the courses that, for example, this is my courses that I've taught, and you can look how students have rated them. And actually, I can also look how other faculty have been rated. So this information is for all faculty, is open to our faculty. So I know that students anonymously rated somebody really well and somebody, not so well. And so why is that? Well, because faculty may be not performing as well in those classes. And also, there's even a public way to evaluate this when the students use sites such as Rate My Professors and so on and so forth, when they can rate other faculty openly. And so this is how the system gives you the feedback on how well you're doing as a professor, as a teacher. Now, when we talk about, these principles, obviously we want to wrap up on one of the most important principles that I think any university should be built on, and that is freedom. Freedom in scientific activities, freedom in teaching, freedom in expressing personal views. This is something that applies both for the faculty and for the students. Students should have also freedom in expressing, freedom in acting upon their basically academic pursuits, or also if they have some interests, we want to make sure that we have a great engaging student life. So put together, we have these 5 principles on which it would be very important to build a university if you want to build a university similar to a Harvard quality university. So just to review, we started with things like, independence, flexibility, evaluation, competition, and obviously freedom, on which all these principles on which any given university should be built. Now, when we talk about how to build a Ukrainian Harvard, this is actually something that I got interested in. In 2017, I brought Vernon Smith, who is a Nobel laureate, to Ukraine, and we spoke about basically how to rebuild a higher education system of Ukraine, how to integrate some of the Western practices. So we had meetings with the government, and we met with the Minister of Education a couple times. Since then, I've been and even before that, I've been very tightly working with the Ministry of Education and basically trying to implement some of these principles and some of these ideas into higher education system of Ukraine. And around that time, I also published an article in at that time was Новое Время, now it is The New Voice. They did the rebranding after Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and so now it's a New Voice, basically edition, a newspaper, an outlet. And I published there, from that article, I actually wrote what is the recipe for Ukrainian Harvard. And I basically discussed some of these principles. And I said that this university would need to be built from scratch, because it's going to be very tough to rebrand, rebuild, change Ukrainian old Soviet Union style educational university. And so we better start from scratch. University has to be private and most likely financed by Ukrainian elites and businesses. because if you go with the government university, Державний університет in Ukrainian, you basically will be too regulated. You're not going to have those essential freedoms to implement the principles that I have already discussed. A university has to bring all of the faculty from all around the world, and then we need to build these independent research institutes on the basis of the university that will motivate startups, accelerators, and so on and so forth. Now, the interesting thing, I've published this article. I wrote it in 2020, way before, the talks about even American University Kyiv began. This was basically an article and my thoughts that I shared also on the social media, and this is where people, started to pick up and started talking to me and asking me. And so when the opportunity came to open this American University in Kyiv, obviously this was a God-sent opportunity for me. And the fact that we were able to do that during the time of war is incredibly, important, and it's also inspirational at the same time. So the vision for the university is to be a world-class university founded on American education, distinguished research, and the partnership with industry and society. So this is really, we wanted to sort of build a top-notch university in Ukraine. And our mission is to educate the leaders of the future, address the challenges of the society, and transform the higher education system, or at least be the catalyst or inspiration for that transformation. So we have been working on this mission quite relentlessly and very hard for the past 2 years. And I wish I had more time to talk to you about American University and how we have implemented these things. But maybe you can, again, visit us on the website and talk to us, visit one of the talks that we have about the university to get to know a little bit more about it. And now, just to highlight a couple of things, we are built on the standards of American education. We have a very close partnership with Arizona State University. So now when we say American standards of education, you can see right away how some of these standards that I even highlighted before are being highlighted here as well. And so we are very much student-centric. We give them a freedom. We help them to focus on their careers. We have a very systematic approach. Academic integrity is essential for us. And we are powered by Arizona State University, and Arizona is one of the top universities in the US. It's been rated #1 in innovation for the past, not 7, but now actually 9 years. And so this year, they have been, again, rated as a top university in the US and in the world overall. And so by partnering with Arizona State University, this gives us an opportunity to give students dual degrees. Now, a student can study for 3 years in Kyiv, and they take a similar curriculum to the one that they would in the United States. And then Arizona is going to count these 3 years, and they will count that for their degree. And so if you studied in Ukraine for 3 years, and then you move online, or you actually move physically to US, you get an American diploma. You get Arizona State University diploma, and you get accredited Ukrainian diploma. So you get 2 degrees while studying at one university, and then transferring the last year to Arizona State University. So this is really something that we're very proud of. We feel that there is no need to reinvent the wheel. It's right there. We don't need to create a bicycle. We can use what is there, and then we can make it unique in our way. So this is how we build this university. Now, as I said, it's we try to be very much career-centric as well. So our students, for example, 7 of them are right now having internships in NATO. We have Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte, some of the best companies in the world that our students are taking internships in. And besides that, we have one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. And I've been to many, many campuses. I gave over 150 talks in different universities in more than 20 countries. Been some of the best actually looking universities are in Australia because they're all on the coastal line and they have some of the most incredible views. But I'll tell you that our university is truly an incredible. We have a beautiful campus. We have saved all these frescoes. That this building, by the way, a river port. If you were to look through the windows here on the pictures, you actually are on the Dnieper River. It's a beautiful campus. It's a beautiful place. And if you're ever in Kyiv, I would definitely invite you to come and see and visit us. We have built the biggest online library in Ukraine right now. So basically, we have access to some of the best brand names that there is, both for research and for teaching purposes. And so our library basically gives unprecedented access to all of the resources around the world. And we integrated learning management system, a student information system, and so everything is integrated in the cloud, which is very important, especially during time of war, because when Russia, hits a university, which they have done numerously times, many universities have been destroyed. At least you have all of the main components that are basically saved, which is as long as you have faculty and you have students, that's what the university is all about. It's not even a physical space or a building. We have brought faculty from all over the world, and this is essential in order to build a true international top-class university. So we have faculty from Netherlands, from Germany, from England, from obviously United States, from Turkey, from all over the world. And we have a bunch of programs. We have 2 schools as of now, and a very incredible story, and this is where I wanted to add on this, is that we have come up with the motto, which says, education that gives you freedom. We came up with the slogan before Russia's full-scale invasion. And so basically, this is a freedom that you get in terms of your life, in terms of your opportunities in life, but even more so in terms of access to so many things. And of course, today it's also symbolic that Ukraine is fighting for their own freedom, literally for the freedom from dictatorship and aggression. And so this became more than a motto, but a way to live for us in Ukraine. If you have any questions, again, you can follow me and